Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Channel 6 Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. And of course, we're delighted to have with us today Daniel Carney, the Economic Development Director of Springfield, Washington County Economic Development.
That's it. It's a mouthful. That's why we usually we say SWEDA.
SWEDA.
Yeah, people don't know what that means, but then when we spit it all out, they say, okay, I understand why you use that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
thanks for
because
having me.
it's a combination of the Springfield and Washington County. So we like working together on, and Daniel, you're just the man to keep us all together.
It's been an excellent partnership between the city and the county, as you know, really, especially for a small rural community like this to work. City and county government have to work together. So coming together and forming the Economic Development Authority, I think, has been a very fruitful partnership for both local governments. And we celebrated our 20th anniversary of SWEDA this year.
Yeah,
so,
that's
a
wonderful.
lot happened in 20 years, and hopefully we've got 20 more good ones ahead of us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, gosh, speaking of those 20 years, how many economic development directors have we had? I
So
think
I'm the
only
third.
3. I was
Yeah.
going to say in those
Yeah.
20 years, which means we must be doing something right.
Well, I do think that's a good thing. It means you've had some stability within the organization, and you've had some different ideas and different philosophies come and go, but really 3 strong directors, and the 2 prior to me, James Roark and then Hal Good, both left their mark, I think, on the community, and Hal, of course, is still very involved here, and James did a lot of good things getting this organization off the ground when he started. So I've been here now, it'll be 7 years in April. So
Gosh,
yeah, that's
Daniel, I can't believe
when you
that.
think about, hopefully, when you think about 20 years and 3 directors, that's about 6-7 years apiece. So hopefully I've got several more here, but yeah, we've been fortunate as an organization with some great directors and great board members, and then just great leadership with mayors, city council, county judge, and our fiscal court. Great support from all those organizations.
Mm-hmm. And so, gosh, Daniel, I just can't hardly believe you've been here that long.
Time flies.
So what would you say, of course, I think we've had a lot of wonderful accomplishments in those 20 years, and we have our industrial park, which I think was a very good plan to develop that. And so what would you say are some of the highlights of those 20 years?
Well, the industrial park you mentioned, so I'll start there. I think that was a really good thing to get that going in the early 2000s. You have to have a product with economic development. Being a rural community, we have land, but so often, and especially in today's economy, it's speed to market. So when a company is looking for a new location, they don't want to look at a raw farm field that has no infrastructure, that is privately owned, where you're going to be going towards there's no asking price or anything like that. You really have to have that publicly owned site that is what you would call either build ready or shovel ready. So that means the infrastructure's there, it's fairly level, and that they can pick out a site and move relatively quickly. So I think the industrial park was a good start, and we've really probably in the last 2 or 3 years really just seen a lot of the activity out there take off, with having Akabono Break that located there, say 10 years ago, or maybe almost 15 years ago, go out, and then Inowak took over that building in the very back of the park. They've upped their production out there, and then of course you've got Elizabethtown Community and Technical College and our extension office in the front. So those sites certainly draw a lot of activity and are bringing, I think the Technical College sees about 300 students per year, and then we know everything that goes through our extension office and how much that is used. We found that out recently because we're going to have to get some more lighting at the entrance to the industrial park, just because there's so much more traffic at night there. So you
they've got that nice conference room out there.
Absolutely, and it gets used a lot.
Which has been an asset to the community, and that lots of meetings out
A lot
there
of the
for
services
sure.
they have to be done at night because they're working with farmers and working people that can't be there during the day. So you
Right.
kind of had those three anchor tenants, and now we're kind of filling in between. We've got a project that'll be completed shortly. That's Innovative Tooling Solutions, formerly Micro Weld Technologies, which is a locally grown business that we're really excited about getting out there. They're moving from their facility on Bloomfield Road here in Springfield and out to a much larger facility that'll help them to expand their base. Hopefully we'll have Springfield Laundry, which will be developing a distribution center in the industrial park, hopefully breaking ground this year. We've had Michter's distillery come in and so far have put up 2 rick houses, so we'll have about 40,000 barrels of bourbon in storage at the industrial park, which is the big thing there is it helps us diversify our tax base a little bit. We've seen those warehouses in the bourbon industry kind of explode all around us, so we're excited to get a piece of that. And those warehouses are unique in that they're climate controlled, and those walls are concrete, precast concrete, 14 inches thick. So they do a really specialized process. We're excited to be working with Michter's. And then the most recent development that we've done is we took a 20-acre tract and developed it into a kind of a light industrial, kind of small business park area. And we did that just because I think a lot of times when people think economic development, they think large industrial development. But it's a cliche, I think, in a lot of ways, but you look at a small community, and really any community, no matter the size, small business really drives things. And I think what we've seen with, as I mentioned, Springfield Laundry needing to expand, and then with Innovative Tooling Solutions needing to expand, there's some opportunities within some of our existing small business and light industrial that we need to put infrastructure in place to help them grow. So this small business park was in response to that, and we've had some good feedback on that. We've got lots in that park that range from 2.5 to 5 acres. So we're not looking for a 100,000 square foot production facility, but that machine shop or that welding company or some kind of distribution or construction that needs that office of 5 or 10,000 square feet to kind of manage their operation out of. We feel like this small business park can be utilized well in that way. And then we've got a 110-acre tract left for a bigger project if it was to come in the industrial park. So that's one area in the past 20 years that we've seen some real progress. I think outside of that, we've transitioned a lot. I think, and I'm an example, everybody, say 20, 30 years ago, probably had some kind of connection to the tobacco industry. We were so heavy, whether it be farming tobacco or all the warehouses that were located on Bloomfield Road, the redryer. There was a lot of jobs in that industry, and it was really important to this community for a long time. And agriculture is still very important. We're doing a lot of row cropping, and I know you have talked to folks in the CBD industry with hemp, and that could be something that we look at going forward. But in the past 20 years, we've really diversified our jobs and really gotten into that industrial market, where you've seen probably in 20 years, probably over 1,000 manufacturing jobs added here in the automotive industry. And then you've seen companies like Bluegrass Dairy, like Barber Cabinet, like Alltech, Bonnie Plant. Those companies also kind of develop and continue to grow their manufacturing and production operations here as well. So we've been fortunate with some big industry, and then continuing to grow that smaller business sector as well. So we've been, I think, very successful if you look at it, considering too that we had a recession in the middle of that.
Right,
and
right.
I think we weathered that storm really well.
Yeah, and we've got a diverse industry, as you mentioned, which I think is very helpful, so that, if something isn't going too well, we've got others that are.
Yeah, you never want to put all of your eggs in one basket
Right.
with anything that you're doing, and everything is cyclical. There's going to be ups and downs in every market. We've seen a lot of changes, not just in this area, but in this country, in the retail market. And we're going to continue to see a lot of changes with industrial and manufacturing markets as well. I was looking at some stuff this week for another piece that I'm going to be doing for the Springfield Sun, and we're looking at a lot of robotics and a lot of artificial information and much more automation, and everything is changing very rapidly. And I think it causes some worry and it's a little bit scary for some. And I think people are quick to say, well, robotics, automation, these things are going to take our jobs. But I think if you go back and look at the Industrial Revolution, that was, say, in the 1820s, when they were transitioning from a very agrarian, very rural economy to going to a more urbanized and more mechanized economy, I'm sure they had those same fears that, we're scared that we're not going to have any jobs and that this is going to change everything. We are certainly in for a lot of change with automation in every industry. In retail, it's going to change. In manufacturing, it's going to change. It'll change the service industry. But I think what that's going to do, it's going to change the way we work. It's going to change the type of skills that we need. And, there's jobs that we may not even think of or may not even be invented yet, but in 10 years will be. So I think it's just going to change how we do things.
You always have to have somebody that knows how the robot works.
Absolutely.
And is going to have to work on it when it malfunctions.
And so, you will be working, with robotics that are maybe working to make things more efficient, but it'll take a highly skilled and a highly paid person to operate that robot. So I think, we've got a lot of progress ahead of us. Again, everything's cyclical, so there'll be some ups and downs here and there, but I say bring on the automation. I've seen it right here. I mean, you can walk through any of our industry here in Springfield. They rely on that heavily. But every time they bring in a new, production line that's going to add a lot of robotics and automation, they're going to hire 30 or 40 people to run those robots and automation. So I think it can be a very good thing, and looking forward to seeing how that takes shape.
And you, Daniel, are working, I know, a lot with our technical schools and the high school and the businesses to get students interested in going into specific areas of training for these types of jobs. I know you've been doing some stuff on that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think the biggest challenge in economic development in Springfield and Kentucky and the United States right now is with the workforce, and that is a product of a good economy. We've got a low unemployment rate. There's a lot of jobs out there.
What's our unemployment rate?
So our unemployment rate in Washington County right now is probably somewhere between 3 and 3.5%. It fluctuates a little bit. They look at it seasonally, but you look at break it down a little bit further. Our workforce has grown to about 6,300 individuals, and that 6,300 comes from our total population, and looking at that age group, say between 18 and 65, that is able and willing to go to work. So you say that makes up about 6,300 people, and then say about 3.5%. So that leaves you about 200 people that you would say would be looking for a job and not working. So I mean, in a lot of ways, you could say you're maybe at full employment. If those 200 people, they may be, for whatever reason, they're not working. They may have a spouse that works, or there may be some limitation for whatever reason that they can't. So going forward, we have got to continue to work with the resources that we have. Number one, to make sure that we're teaching this next generation of employees the skills that they need to succeed. But also educating them on the opportunities that are right here in Washington County. It was refreshing. I spent some time with our teen leadership group back in November, and that's kind of what we do in that whole day is we go around and visit some business and industry, and then we just talk about the different types of careers here. And I always ask that group who is planning to stay in Springfield and Washington County after you graduate high school, and probably for the first time, about 75% said they did want to stay here. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that there's opportunities here for them. But the economic development has changed, because I think 20 or 30 years ago you spent so much time just focusing on that recruitment and really getting out and trying to get companies to come in, whereas now we're spending more time on retention to make sure that we're giving the companies that are already here the tools they need to succeed. But probably the key point is that workforce development piece. And as you mentioned, we're blessed here because we have Elizabethtown Community and Technical College. We have a great area technology center in Lebanon that our high school students can go to and take classes from. And then just working with Washington County Schools, they've done a great job in making strides in their career pathway program and providing things like aviation and aerospace, but even IT. You know, we go back to that automation and robotics. Myself and Superintendent Robin Cochran sat down with some of our industry and said, look, we want our students to stay here. We want you to stay here. So what can be done to make sure that we're teaching the skills that they need? And they agreed that it was information technology that we needed to be teaching. Because if they have those baseline skills, whether it's robotics or if you're looking at analytics on a production line, whatever kind of computerized machine, those baseline skills can make them successful. And then having the ability to go on to Elizabethtown Community and Technical College and programs
On
like the
Springfield campus
on the
primarily?
Springfield campus here, yeah. There's a work-ready scholarship now where you can almost go to school for free. So utilizing those resources is going to be, it's very important now, and it's just going to continue to be important for how we kind of shape that workforce. And
the elementary school, the old elementary school, now has, what kind of training do they?
so they call that the TEL Center.
The TEL Center, right.
So that is transportation engineering and logistics, I think. Don't hold me to that. It's something along those lines. But
Yeah.
Washington County received a work-ready skills grant from the state. The state set up that program so that school districts or communities could develop more ways in their community for career pathways to serve not just our high school students, middle school students, elementary students, but the adult population as well. And so we had the facility with that old elementary school, so then it's kind of, you know, what can we do to enhance our current career pathways. They already had the aviation and aerospace program, but they were functioning out of a classroom. And when you're talking about wind tunnels and large flight simulators and these kind of things, that was very difficult. And then the IT program kind of popped up just because of those conversations with industries, and they were able to set up a lab that students can actually go in and learn these techniques for information technology in a little bit better learning environment than would be your typical classroom. And that facility has been also used very well for extracurriculars with the indoor athletic facility that they've got there as well, which is important, you know, to get students involved. And so, you know, we've been very good, not just at our school system, but I think in Washington County as a whole, of utilizing our old buildings. And, you know, you can see it right here on Main Street with the many facilities that we've rehabbed and are still using here. So that's another example of that.
Yeah, because that's business too.
Absolutely.
And I know you're involved with that also with regard to our Main Street and our tourism and those agencies to make sure that our downtown is being utilized. And because, you know, people, I mean, sometimes that's what I hear, you know, well, you know, what do you have downtown? You know, because people that want to either locate here or who are here want, you know, you to have a vibrant downtown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So,
it's economic development's all encompassing when you talk about quality of life, when you talk about your education system, when you talk about tourism. You know, it's not just necessarily, you know, trying to get a company or an industry to locate here, but you've got to convince their engineers and their higher-ups and their management why this is a good place to live.
yeah.
And I think we are fortunate here. I've traveled around the state a lot, and there's some beautiful downtowns right here in this area, but I think we have one, and we've made an effort clearly to continue to make it vibrant and have a reason for people to come into town. You know, all these communities have these bypasses around them now, and
Yeah.
for logistics,
Unfortunately.
yeah, it serves its purpose for logistics wise.
Yeah,
but,
logistics, yeah.
It kind of cuts off that natural flow of traffic coming through your downtown. So, like you said, you have to give people a reason.
Right.
And I think we do a good job of that
Yeah.
here in Springfield. And I'm always happy whenever we have, you know, I've had representatives from companies from probably 7 different countries and of course all over the U.S. that have come to Springfield, and I'm always happy to bring them downtown and have a meal or talk to them about the different historic buildings and that kind of thing. So we've got a lot to be proud of here, and you know, just looking at some new developments with our library, with our fire station, keeping those new developments mixed with our old developments that we have here on Main Street. I think it's pretty cool what we have going on here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you're still here, so.
That's right. Yeah, no, I think we've seen a resurgence of a lot of younger people coming back and wanting to be here. And, I do a lot of studies and just research on best practices in a small community, what's working in larger communities. And there's a lot to be said for, the rural community. You can do so much as far as with the internet and the resources that are at your fingertips. You don't have to be in a big metro for a lot of careers, but really, to achieve what you need to achieve, and pretty much any career that you're going to go into, barring some very specialized ones, you can find it in these rural communities. And so the quality of life is great. The cost of living is very low.
And now you can work from home.
Absolutely.
So many people don't even have offices, and they're working on their computers from home a lot of the time. So that, so heck, there's no excuse. You can just stay right here
Absolutely.
in Springfield.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the the cost of living.
Yeah, and cost of living, but then also infrastructure and utilities. I think our internet's improved a lot in the past, 5 to 10 years. We probably still have some work to do there, but just looking at some infrastructure things this year, Atmos Energy did a huge expansion. If you have been to Lebanon, they added a 6-inch line so that we've got more natural gas capacity. And then I think the biggest announcement that we've made locally, which I know you're familiar with, is the sewer plant expansion. If we want people to live here, to work here, if we want companies to locate here, those infrastructure enhancements are huge to what we're trying to do. So
Yeah. And with business too, and because we've talked about water expansion with, because to be prepared in case we have any industry that wants to come, that will have the water and sewer that they need.
Yep. Yeah, I think oftentimes those kind of things get forgotten about. I tell people all the time, I think people take water for granted. I really think so. You go to some other countries and even some other states, we are fortunate to have the quality of water that we have here and very low rates. But moving,
and it's good drinking water.
Absolutely, yeah. Moving forward, as you said, we're going to have to continue to look at ways to continue to increase capacity and be prepared for whatever's coming in the future. I was looking just at some population projections this week, and by the year 2035, so about 15 years from now, Washington County is expected to have about 1,000 more residents. And you think, well, 1,000 people is maybe not that much, but in a county of 12,000, that's a pretty good percentage increase of new residents. So we've got to have utilities and infrastructure and jobs and those kind of things in place for those people, and housing.
Right. That's been a kind of a problem, hasn't it, Daniel? Housing.
So I think, and again, I talked about that really low unemployment rate and that limitation on the workforce, and I think that is a product of a good economy. I think the housing is also in that same respect where we've seen low interest rates for a number of years.
Thank goodness.
People are, as we came out of the recession and people saw the economy going in the direction that it was, they were comfortable to get back in the buying market. So you have seen a limited inventory of housing because so many people have jumped into the market, because we have a good economy, because we have people coming here for jobs. So again, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
So new subdivisions, these kind of things are, again, it's all encompassing. It all kind of rolls into one, because you don't want to bring a new company in or try to get a new business to come in and then their
then they
CEO or their engineer can't find a nice place to live. So we have to be abreast of really everything that goes into making a community work.
Yeah. And that's a lot.
It is.
And people don't realize, I guess, as you said, if here you want a new industry, but if you want a new industry, you know, you have to have the housing, you have to have the job force, and
Utilities.
and the utilities.
You know, transportation. You know, that's something that we talk about US 150 between here and Bargetown.
Yeah.
How many years have we been talking about that?
We've been talking about that.
And we're getting
road.
closer. I think we've got some planning and design that'll be in the works this year. But that's probably the major artery into our community, and that the direct connection to I-65. And so, you know, there's a lot of things, but you just work on everything a little bit at a time and kind of build on it. And like I say, I think we've been fortunate and successful in what we've done so far. So we'll continue to work towards progress.
Well, it sounds like you're just doing an excellent job, Daniel Carney.
Well, we're trying. You know, I tell people all the time, I encourage people really, if you see something in the community that you think we could do better at, if you see something that we need to think about adding to the community, I mean, I know you hear it from people all the time, but we're an open door. You know, we need new ideas, and we need entrepreneurs very badly, and we're willing to help those folks to get off the ground. I invite folks to reach out to SWEDA, stop by the Opera House and visit with us, figure out what we do, what all we do here, and we'd love to talk to anybody who's got ideas about how we can enhance the community.
Right. Or who would like to invest in our community.
Absolutely,
or,
especially that.
Or start a business here, or
Yeah.
So, Daniel, they can come by and see you at the Opera House. I know you're out and about a lot.
Sure.
Because you have to check on businesses and meet with employers and try to solve any problems they're having. And so if they want to call you and schedule an appointment, they could just call
336-0052. I'm in extension 3. I would encourage you, visit our website. It's www.sweda.org. That's sweda.org. There's a lot of demographic data on there. We'll post news articles, we'll post local jobs, and of course all of our contact information is on there as well. So if you've got a job you want posted, send that to me. We'll post that out there and also get it posted with our local career center. If you know, like I say, whatever it is, if you're interested in starting a business and you don't know what existing buildings are available, what developable sites are available, we keep a running inventory of that. You know, rent prices, that kind of thing. We can give you some information there. So, and like I say, stop in the Opera House. If someone's, you know, if I'm not here, the Chamber of Commerce or Springfield Main Street, there's a lot of good resources here in the Opera House, and we love to have visitors.
someone will help you if Daniel's
Absolutely,
not
yeah.
here.
If I'm not here, then there'll be. There's always one of us here willing to help, no matter what it is. So we work together very well in that way. So.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, congratulations on 7 years at SWEDA, and congratulations to SWEDA on 20 years.
Thank you.
And I look forward to hearing more about what's going on, and you'll have to come back again soon.
We'll do it.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.